We are talking about David Tennant's Doctor Who Regeneration and why it changed. Russell T. Davies didn't want to give bigots ammunition. Talk about passing the buck on this one, huh, bro? Goodness gracious.
Well, giving bigots ammo. Listen, you don't need to give bigots ammo because bigots are bigots and they're always going to find ammunition laying around. It doesn't matter.
Right.
If you giving them ammo it's a lame excuse for not doing the right thing. And it's also in this article by Gizmodo. The thing you got to understand, Doctor Who's star traditionally dons their predecessor's outfit for the first outing, but going from a female to a male presenting Doctor, it created problems because, of course, we know Jodie Whittaker's Doctor. David Tennant's taking over for her, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they essentially didn't want to put David Tennant in female clothing because that would have given all of the angry bigot people ammo to complain about David Tennant is not transgender. Doctor Who is not transgender. He's not a cross-dresser. Well, no shit, Sherlock.
No one would have complained about that, by the way.
That is so you know what? This is a way to complain about what's happening in Doctor Who.
Yeah, the fact that they had to go back to the Tennant well because they ruined the last 4 years of this global phenomenon franchise that spanned 2 or 3 generations of people.
It would have been absolutely perfect if David Tennant showed up in Whittaker's outfit, and after a few moments of somebody recognizing, going, "What's going on there?" and having David Tennant go, "Oh, well, this isn't going to work," and then change. It would have been very simple to have that sort of transition. Then you keep the canon of the Doctor wearing the other person's out. It would have been fine.
Yeah, but more foundational changes.
You're making it not good because you're putting lights around it and putting it in headlights and now complaining about the fact that you couldn't do it because people would complain. Well, guess what, man? People are going to complain no matter what because that's the world we live in right now, and you have to ignore those voices.
Yeah, and I would argue that this is smoke and mirrors, man. This is sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't want to put them in girls' women's clothes because the biggest complain. Or maybe you wanted him in his classic trench coat and tie so that people would be excited about the Doctor Who, and you would rather sacrifice canon, and then you can blame it on the bigots later.
And then you can blame it on everybody else, right?
Right. Let's be real. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know anyone. I hate the current Doctor Who. Hate it. I wouldn't have complained if he came back and was close. That's the part of the regeneration process.
Yeah, it actually makes sense.
Yeah. In fact, that way. The David Tennant reveal was the one thing I liked over the last 4 years of absolute dumpster fire Doctor Who. I was like, oh my God, someone in the business department was like, yo, guys, we are bleeding money. Call David Tennant.
And it's not because Jodie was the last Doctor was a girl. That had nothing to do with it. It's because they made the Doctor a feminist agenda and turned her woke. Yeah. That's why the Doctor became a woke character.
Yeah, they changed the foundation of the entire franchise in order to preach a message through the female Doctor.
Yeah, we just want the Doctor to be weird, quirky, and take us through journeys through time. So that's what the Doctor should always do. But it appears here that Davies was particularly mindful of the reaction from the British press, which is notedly dominated by bigoted, transphobic rhetoric. But it is also fair to say the decision was likely also made in part with Doctor Who's growing international audience as it expands to Disney Plus next year, especially in markets like the US, where right-wing bigots have made drag performers a target in anti-LGBTQ culture war movements this year. Quote, "If the press can play with gender in a sarcastic or critical way, they will," Davies continued. "We could have the Doctor dressed as a knight or dressed as a god or dressed as William Hartnell, and the only photo they'd print would be David in what they consider to be women's clothes." Does this guy have any freaking clues to what happens over here in America with the media?
I'm sorry. I think I think he might. There's three options. Either he's mentally challenged, he's a bot masquerading as a person, or he's so misinformed that maybe this shouldn't be his job.
I mean, it has to be the last one, because the media in the United States would get a picture of, you're right, they would absolutely print the picture of David Tennant in the female clothing, and they would applaud it, bro.
Yeah.
They would applaud it and say, how brave. So Davies, are you blind or dumb? What the heck? This is your perfect opportunity to get all kinds of love from the American media.
Right.
So
and us canon, strict canon fans are going to be like, I mean, that's how it works.
Now, if David Tennant comes back and he's a feminist, and he's fighting for women's rights and freedoms because in 2022, women need that, then we're not going to like it.
And so if he's a modern feminist, so here's the deal. Well, feminism is a good thing.
Yeah, but let's put it this way: feminism was a good thing in its time. Now it's time for equality for all, and we don't need that anymore.
Modern feminism is actually, I would argue, is actually anti-feminism, or it's an oxymoron of feminism.
Yeah, that's fair.
For instance, Cardi B was at one point Variety's Women of the Year or whatever, right? Same person who sang a song about liquefied genitalia wearing a thong and bouncing up and down on a YouTube video, mind you, that wasn't age gated. And they called her a feminist. So here's the deal. Feminism is a woman does not require the patriarchy in order to be complete. However, you are applauding a woman whose entire lifestyle and approach is only geared toward pleasing the patriarchy. Yet she's a feminist. She's a feminist. How does that work?
Well, because it's impossible to separate that. I mean, being a woman, one of the benefits of being a woman is using your sexuality to gain power. I mean, that's just part of being a woman. It's what's made human beings work together for all this time. And so it's impossible to separate one from the other. And that's why they have the feminism is skewed.
But you can't both require the patriarchy and then preach against it. That doesn't, it's not, you got to pick a lane. That's what I'm saying. Modern feminism, they hijacked the classic feminism approach to equality, and they're trying to take it a step further. And I believe it's actually just a crutch in order for these people to get attention or to get what they want out of men, which is the opposite of feminism, in my opinion.
I think it's the problem of special interest groups. We went to this earlier, and I don't want to get hung up on this, but special interest groups, there are women's organizations, race organizations, anti-Semitism, all these organizations exist. And I think you hit it earlier on something we talked about. They don't exist without the narrative continuing to being pushed.
Right.
Do we need to fight for feminism now? I don't know. I mean, in my eyes and most of our eyes, I think everyone's equal, men and women.
Well, in the United States, maybe it's different in other countries. I don't know.
Right. But the fight isn't necessarily in other countries that's highlighted. It's all here in our country.
In my household, my wife and I are totally equal. I would argue sometimes I might be her inferior.
Okay, that's fair. But so, I mean, that's what I'm saying is like, everybody, and granted, if men are in charge, then that's a little bit of an issue. And I don't want to get off too much on this tangent because this is really about David Tennant, and it's about Doctor Who and coming back and whether or not they should continue. Listen, stay with canon. Use canon. Utilize canon. The messaging is where the problem is. Let the doctor be the doctor. Let the doctor do doctor things.
Yeah.
You don't need to use the doctor as your hero for feminism or anti-bigotry or whatever else you got going on.
You don't need to, you don't have to preach. And you certainly don't have to blame these imaginary bigots for you wanting to market David Tennant in the best possible way.
or even real bigots for that,
or even real bigots.
Yeah,
but in this case, it's imaginary because I don't think real bigots are even watching. Jodie Whittaker's Doctor Who.
Well, what I'm saying is they are. So he's right in this sense that if David Tennant shows up in women's clothes, there are bigoted people, whether they watch Doctor Who or not, who will complain about the fact that he is in women's clothes, period. It will happen. He's right. But it should not be an excuse because it's still canonical and it makes sense. And the people who are true Doctor Who fans, if they're true Doctor Who fans, and as long as his message isn't continuing this whole weird woke skew of attitude, then the Doctor Who fans are going to support it.
Right. And by the way, don't give your hopes up on David Tennant. We reported a couple weeks ago. He's going to be in like 6 episodes, and then it's going to be a transgender companion and a gay doctor, and it's going to go. They're going to bait and switch. So let me tell you that right now.
That's the plan. We don't know if that's going to happen for sure.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, you're right. We don't know if that's going to happen.
Right.
But from what we gather, more than likely you're going to get like 4 or 5 decent episodes, if not good episodes of Doctor Who, and then they're going to switch them out. That's
now
what
we heard. Was that an official thing or was that a 4chan thing? Where did that come from?
No, it's official that David Tennant is not going to be the Doctor for the entire season. It's a 12 episode run. And the transgender companion and the gay doctor are in the series, and they're in more than half the season.
So it wasn't rumored; it was an actual fact.
Right. Yeah, okay. And so unless at some point there's going to be 2 doctors running around, we have to assume that Tennant at some point is going to regenerate into the new gay doctor,
which doesn't make any sense, and it wouldn't surprise us to do it, but I don't know. It's going to blow up in their face if they bring in Tennant and then they make it so that it's not believable, the transition that they make. So,
right. All right. Well, that's it. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. How do you feel about this? Right. And now, after seeing our Matt Smith thing, are you really looking forward to the American version of the Matt Smith Stephen Moffat series? Because I think the BBC version is going to continue just to degrade. So, but I don't know. Give us your thoughts in the comment section below. See you later, nerds.